ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ultimate TV.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 5 of WMUCC live from the University of Limerick. I am Gigi Morrison, joined today by Bjorn Shea. Bjorn, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great. It's I'm nice and dry, and the wind isn't blowing much, and I feel like the players are feeling the same ecstatic feeling that I'm feeling.
Yeah, we should have a super exciting matchup this morning. It is Amsterdam Ultimate Club from the Netherlands, Amsterdam itself, and Frisbees Nantes from Nantes in France. So 2 European teams facing off in the Masters Mixed Division. What has their journey been to this game so far?
They both ended up, on the French side, they are 2-2 and finished third in their pool. And they seemed absolutely elated to be that successful so far. So they're coming in with the right attitude. And Amsterdam also finished third in their pool. I think they kind of more expected to be in that situation. So they're coming in business as usual. But both teams seem well-spirited and looking for a good match.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a little bit more still this morning. So you can see by some of the flags, they're not as blustery. They are actually able to lie flat against the pole today for once.
Yeah, the poor guys are getting a break.
So by the looks of it, we have Amsterdam starting out on defense. The game advisors just waiting with disc in hand. Starting off with a ratio of 4 men to 3 women.
And you see with the disc, that's a recent transplant to Amsterdam, Stephen Chang. You might remember him from the AUDL out of San Jose. He was a Spider for many years, one of the main handlers on the Spiders. So look for him to have some great big throws if Amsterdam's lucky enough to get the turn.
Fantastic pull to get Amsterdam started out on defense. Frisbeurs. Boranger. Fielders down to Barreau. Senders round to Pouget. Fantastic cut from Chantal. Really good movement so far from Frisbeurs. Boranger. Pick call upfield.
so far, great movement by the Frisbeurs, getting side to side quite easily. And you see the difference with the lack of wind, how much more confidence players have in their breaks.
It's a really tight force there. Beautiful break backhand, high release. That was fantastic. Pouget getting the disc moving again. Big pivot around into the force, causing a foul and a travel.
I think it was a travel, not a foul. He kind of switched pivot foots and did a pretty sweet spin move.
It's the mullet of Barrault. High release flick on the inside, but a miscommunication meant that the disc has gone to grass.
That's unfortunate. I think three players on the Frisbeurs touched it before it hit the ground. And so now we see Chang with the disc just as we expected, and just as we said, he's throwing up a big throw.
Big backhand shot, 2 receivers. Who is going to get underneath it? Gusten looks immediately for Hermans. And into the end zone, Gusten for the first AUC score. Fantastic break.
Yeah, that's a wild swing there, being right on the doorstep of the end zone, and in one throw going 95% down the field. That was a great huck to fade away to the backside of the break side of the receiver. So it didn't have to be the farthest throw, but the receiver read it well.
And Chang getting the AUC offense started off wonderfully with a magical backhand.
Yeah, I guess it's good to note that Chang is also a lefty, so he's able to throw, even when being forced flick, he's able to throw backhands, which also helps with bailing yourself out of tough situations as a team.
Now seeing the sun come out for us. We have 2 flags, 1 from each team, set up across the pitch. The 3 crosses representing Amsterdam, the elephant for Nantes. Frisbeurs back on offense. Look immediately upfield, but Chang gets right in the way. Defensive prowess. Chang wiping off the disc. Gustens immediately strikes deep. Opts not to take it, but finds the towering body of Aras. Gustens. Stolkamp rising, gets it off to Chang. Looking into the end zone. Brouwer. And back into the hands of Aras. AUC with their second break of the game.
Yeah, that was a good, I think Chang really read the set play. It was a little too obvious, I think, which receiver they wanted to go to, the Frisbeurs. And so it was kind of easy to jump the route, even though it was a quality cut. And then what I really like about AUC after the turn, it seems like they have a good cohesive plan as a defensive offense. A lot of teams, they're just happy to get the D, and then they're just kind of rolling dice out there. It seems they have a very prescribed method to their defensive offense, and it's working out.
So it'll be interesting to see how Frisbeurs will respond to 2 breaks up against them. And although we have 4 women starting on the line, Chang has chosen to pull. Under the WFDF rules, it should be the majority gender ratio should be pulling the disc. Frisbeurs on offense. Lemaitre. Back to Lemaitre, up the line. Well received by Baudin. Le Guazio. This is moving. A little bit of a miscommunication, not necessarily giving perfect eye contact as to which receiver they wanted.
Yeah, two receivers in the area, and they both slowed down for each other. A little too courteous as receivers. They should have been greedier.
A lot of voices going on. Frisbeurs wanting to be really active on their sideline, trying to get this turnover. Pit call downfield. AC are doing really well in getting their offense moving, but Frisbeurs are ramping up the intensity. They are really not wanting to let AUC get yet another break. Chang looking immediately deep. Strong receiver in Gross and finds her. Yet another break. What is happening here?
A monstrous throw, and the receiver knew exactly where it was going. Perfect read, sealed out the defender, and it looked like they switched the force maybe to prevent Chang from throwing a big backhand, and Chang said, I can throw flicks too, and put it on the money. Probably even better throw than his 2 backhands.
You can't let a thrower with that kind of arm get any chances. Wonderful shot. That was absolutely huge. That would have been pretty much full field had he had the opportunity to use the entire field. And I'd imagine that that is Frisbeurs now taking a timeout. And just as the players take a timeout, we will leave you with a bit of a break. Welcome back to the live coverage of WMUCC Day 5. You are watching Frisbeurs Nantes versus AUC. We have taken a quick timeout. Bjorn, what has happened so far in this game?
Well, the Frisbeurs have actually looked pretty good on offense, except for a couple of miscues, and then AUC's defensive offense are absolute killers. They go for the jugular right away. And a few big throws by Chang and Smart around the offense throws have led to a 3-0 lead.
Frisbeurs now on offense, looking clean so far. They are trying to find the next cut. Duplin. Not very much movement, but finds the hammer over the top. What a fantastic option. And then a break side backhand. Frisbeurs with their first points of the game.
Wow, that's great. A great throw to number 3, Peugeot. He gave the signal to his thrower because he was being a little too face guarded. So it was kind of easy to get the throw right over the top. And then turned around and had an open receiver on the break side. So finally, we see Frisbeurs get off the schneid.
Yeah, I'd imagine in that timeout call that they were wanting to clean things up a little bit more on offense, make things a bit more clinical, trust in their own receivers, and they did that very well. They were able to string together a good set of passes. And then capitalizing on AUC, just switching off on defense, a little bit, giving them the around backhand break.
Yeah, I'm sure the defense from AUC was kind of happy to get a break as well. They had played 3 in a row.
So AUC with their first hold opportunity. Stockholm Rising, Us manages to find Volhab.
We're told Volrob is a great receiver to watch. You can see her length and athleticism.
Huge forehand shot into the end zone. Finds Verhaar perfectly. Both of the receivers respecting each other. Quick fist bump. That was fantastic.
Yeah, both the receivers who made great cuts on that play were the ones we were told to look out for. So I think we'll be seeing them all day. And you can see they have the look of dainty, lithe elves flying around the field. So I think we'll see a lot of them outrunning their opponent. They have length and they have speed. So watch out for those two, 34 and 55, Verhaar and Volrob.
It almost seems to be a bit of a stereotype from Dutch players to be extremely tall, and Verhaar is very much living up to that stereotype.
Yeah, I think aren't they I think they have the highest average height in the world. So
very difficult to defend against tall players, particularly when they can jump at the same time. So if you get a tall player that can't necessarily jump, you might be able to have an opportunity to get a D against them, but if they've got the hops like Verhaar does, then it's pretty much a losing game. So Frisbeurs back on offense. Quick give and go from the handler sets. Finds the inside shot to the front of stack. Guazio. Pierre looking for the huge backhand into the end zone. Has a receiver, but well defended by Brouwer.
That needed to be just 5 more yards further because it was a great cut and a great look. And coming out of the hand, I thought it was a good shot. But just couldn't get by the very, again, another sizable defender on the Amsterdam side.
Chang slowly moving up to the front of the end zone.
It looks like he's waiting for his teammate to tie his shoe. So a good spirit from everyone to allow that. Nobody wants to see anybody trip.
Lots of cuts coming off, but manages to find the dump option. Takes the under to Meesters. Aras looking immediately deep. Brouwer getting the bookends for the score. Another AUC point. They are pulling away with this game.
Massive throw by Aras. I didn't know. We hadn't seen anybody else throw a big one yet on the Amsterdam side. And well, he showed that he is just as big a weapon as anybody else. And a great read again by the receiver to let it fade to the break side and not attack it too early, which we saw so often in the windy conditions the past week.
Very well read there by Brouwer. The bookends for her as well, bring the score to 5-1. She's sporting some gloves. A lot of players have been wearing gloves throughout this tournament. It has been windy, it has been rainy. One of the sponsors of this tournament being Friction Gloves. Getting grip for your game. Being able to play in very tricky conditions like we've had all week, but this morning has been beautiful.
And I don't want to say it's bad to be up, but one thing you'll notice is they put a few O-line players on this D-line for Amsterdam, and because it only looks like they have maybe, I'd say it looks like 16 people total that they're playing right now, even though they have a lot on the roster. I don't see a lot actually suited on the fields. And so that means that's about 2 lines, an O-line and a D-line. Well, if the D-line's playing every time, they're going to get pretty gassed, and you don't want to do any detriment to the rest of the game.
Godet looking for Lemaitre, but the wind starting to pick up now. The wrong face of the disc just catching underneath it. It sails out of bounds. AUC now with another opportunity for a break.
And that was 51, Lemaitre, who got pretty open for Frisbeurs. So good cut by them.
Verhaar stuck on the sideline, manages to find the inside shot. But Kouston, it's a little too high for his receiver. Frisbeurs get another opportunity. Moving it really well. They have strong chemistry as a team together. Godet. Loak. Godet just off the fingertips, has to bid.
That's unfortunate, on the goal line yet again. And just couldn't hold on to it.
Wolrab, again just off the fingertips, a little too far out. Not making it very easy for the receivers here. Godet moves to the disc. Has a wide cut from the back of Stack. Wide open receiver as well in Baudin. Baudin looking high, finds the receiver, Poliayo. Front of the end zone, manages to find another receiver, but there is a pick.
Yeah, you can see that front on your screen. You can see that stack looks messy, if existent at all. So a lot of times when you see a stack that messy, you're going to get some picks.
This checked in, trying to look for the same receiver, darting back and forth, manages to get it. Really well done. Lemaitre gets the score for Frisbeurs, bringing it to 5-2.
A good way to avoid picks is to just not go back to the stack and ISO yourself right in front of the thrower. Eventually she got open, especially coming in with a low stall count. That was pretty easy. Probably the smart move in that situation. I know most teams I play with, on an end zone, always just try to ISO one person because it gets too easy to help on the end zone when you only have to go a couple yards.
Very difficult to guard as well when you've got somebody darting back and forth, because you can't necessarily tell when they're going to clear back into stack and when they're going to try to move to the open side again. So really good work from Lemaitre. Very athletic movement as well. Having to go back and forth can absolutely ruin anyone's knees.
Yeah, she seems like quite a quick player.
AUC bringing out their offensive line now. Really nice pull. Sailing in towards the back, has the tall receiver. Also, immediate backhand deep. Trusting the receiver, has to bid. But just out of the reach from Verhaar.
Yeah, I think the wind is pushing a little bit towards the camera today. So that throw with the outside in backhand is going to be pushed downwards. So that's why it didn't seem to carry that much as the thrower thought it would.
Béard finds the under. Fortuné. Fortuné running out of options, but manages to find yet another under on the sideline. Bogan gets the dump around. Fantastic swing to Béard. Back to Nediek. Fortuné. Lots of cuts coming. Again, goes for the dump option. Probably the wisest shot to make.
Nediek has very sharp throws on these swings. Keeps it very flat and gets there very quick, not giving any chance for defenders to jump in.
Bourgoin, just out the reach. We're seeing this a little too often. I think they're overshooting in the wind that was here recently over the past few days, but as it's a bit more still this morning, they're having to warm up their throws for very different conditions.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to the disc going where you actually throw it.
Os going to the knees. Saves possession, Clement. To Myers. Volrob. Chooses to dump, goes straight up the line. Faking with both hands.
Right now, the French defense is a little, it's not a zone, but the defenders at the front are sagging into the lanes, making sure no big throws come off, encouraging side to side or very short passes. And it seems like it's working pretty well. The AUC offense is a little stymied.
Myers. Myers being near enough every other pass. Finds Tanya to Volrob. They're gaining yards really well. Frisbeurs opting for match defense again. Really fast movement into the front of the end zone. Fantastic movement. That is a score for Clements.
Yeah, once the it seemed like the AUC broke through that front wall, that pinchy wall, and once that happened, I believe it got to Myers on the far sideline, and it seemed like they didn't stop momentum after that, and Frisbeurs were playing catch-up the whole time.
That Poachy defense was slowing AUC down significantly. Then as soon as they opted for the match defense, you could see their quick give and go movements was really what completely stopped any sort of defensive pressure from Frisbeurs. That was fantastic movement from AUC.
I think AUC might have played into the Frisbeurs' poachiness too they were kind of running a hoe stack, which is exactly what that defense worked well against. So when they got past that first wall, they fell more into a vertical stack, which that defense was less effective against. So I think AUC did a better job of not playing into their hands.
Chang with the big IO pull. Godet fielding it well. Barranger. Back to Godet. AUC being slightly poachy off the handlers as well, but not as a zone set. Just giving the handlers a little bit more space. Applying some pressure on the undercuts. Godet just out the hands, slipping. AUC with a break opportunity. Taking their time. Chang moving up to the disc. Gives it a wipe. Immediate inside throw. Finds Aras. Aras with the hammer over the top to Gusten in the end zone. Bringing the score. Is that 6-2, 7-2? There we go. 7-2 to AUC. They're 1 point away from taking half here.
I think Aras's hammer might have traveled more vertically than horizontally. He threw it about 20 yards in the air to go about 14 yards down the field. But you also saw he and Chang seem to have a little bit of a understanding that, and you can do this really well in a vertical stack. If all the defense is face guarding in the middle of the field, face guarding the stack, and you have the disc, you can throw a little break throw without anyone ever even cutting, and then the offensive player only has to take a couple steps over to catch it. So you don't even need to cut. You can just immediately get a quick break. And it seems like Aras and Chang, that's I think the third time they've done that, and it works pretty well to get on the break side very quickly and easily.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to stop because if you've got a thrower that has such zippy and powerful and precise throws such as Chang, you can't really mark that out unless you are a defender standing literally on the break side, and then at which point you are completely giving up the open side. So they know exactly how to stifle some defenses. What a fantastic pull. Arcing out, but moving straight in again.
Is it going to stay in? Oh.
They are with a massive shot, finding Lesager. Lesager trying to get that toe in.
And again, what wind there is today, well, less than the other days, is moving towards the camera, towards the near sideline from your view at home. So by opening up that inside out, it got pushed a little out of bounds.
Gans.
Gans, another very tall, athletic receiver.
Chang manages to find Langelo. Clement. Back to Chang. This is some fluid offense. This is a team with a lot of chemistry. Wow, what a fantastic grab from Meesters.
She must be wearing friction gloves.
Clement. Finds Groves. Into the hands of the Frisbeurs defender. Veillard comes down with it.
Yeah, a little too casual with that dump. Sometimes you need to do the pump fake to make something happen. Just handed it right to the defender.
Boda tries to find the slashing cut from Lessager, but again, a bit too much. Chang taking his time. Calling the timeout, probably a wise call.
Yeah, this would be huge because if Amsterdam gets this score, they get the disc right back. This will take it to half, and then they'd get the Frisbee right back after half. So that's always a great feeling and an opportunity you don't want to waste to keep your defense on the field for 3 straight points.
Yeah, it's definitely a good opportunity for the teams to recenter themselves, try to make some discussions between each other. Like, okay, this is the situation that we're in. We need to stay calm. They've got this opportunity to set up a pull play if they wanted to, especially with Chang on disc. I know they'll probably want to look deep or for the immediate break shot. And Frisbeurs are going to have to respond defensively to that.
So far this line, I think Chang's really has eyes for 23. Gans, she seems to be tearing it up, and I could see, just like that throw I was talking about to the big man earlier, I think he might look for her to make that same cut, just a quick no-cut cut to the break side. And you see where she is? I think it's an ideal spot to do that from the front of the stack. So you can see them communicating right now. I think it's coming.
You're excited for this. Frisbeurs do have the opportunity to set up in whatever defense positioning that they want to, so they could opt for some sort of zone as well. Maybe to try and stifle any sort of deep options, get themselves really in the way of those dangerous break shots that we've seen from Chang so often in this game. It looks a bit more matchy, maybe with a deep poach at the back, clamping the front 2 cutters here.
That's the tall defender Bodine at the back for Frisbeurs.
Immediate inside shot does find exactly what you called. And Gans. Meisters. Back to Chang. Lots of fluid movement. Dumps it off to Clement. Pick call downfield. It did affect the second pass, but it doesn't affect the pass to Clement, so will probably stay in his hands. A little bit of discussion with the game advisors.
Staying with Clement.
AC getting moving again. Lots of cuts, having to find the dump option. Chang with the backhand. To Meisters, back to Clement. Chang slicing up the line. They know how dangerous he is. Fantastic hands there. And just off the bidding, Gans not able to reel that in. AUC taking a little too fast of an option. But there has been a call further upfield.
Yeah, I think Quan Nguyen threw a little bit too casual of it was supposed to be, I think, like a little air bounce backhand, but it turned into just kind of a diving blade. Had an open receiver. But a good cut by him to get it from Chang, and now AUC's formidable defense is back on the case.
You will see throughout this week players having discussions with game advisors. Game advisors currently wearing the yellow t-shirts from VC Ultimate. Game advisors are allowed to clarify the rules. They can give their opinion of perspective, but the ruling is nowhere near final. It is still the responsibility of the players to be able to make their own calls. I
think what might have happened, sorry, we're catching up here. I think there was a foul on Chang's throw, but also maybe a travel call. And so they're discussing whether it needs to go back to Chang because because there was 2 calls. So I think it might have been resulted in a stoppage with Chang. So they call the travel on him, but he's calling the foul. So I think those 2 things offset, and it has to come back. Sorry, it took us a while to catch up. The play kept moving, and we didn't even get to see the hand signals.
So disc is indeed back with Chang. Chang tries to find the up-the-line cut from Gross. But well defended.
Was that Lemaitre with the D? Or who was that? Yep. That probably the fastest player we've seen, the fastest woman matching player we've seen on the field today. She's just everywhere.
Céad running out of options. Chooses to go for the deep. Has the streaking player, but just off the hands, Pouget could not reel that one in. That was a fantastic backhand shot, though.
That's too bad. A great backhand and a great run by Pouget.
There is a call further upfield of a foul.
Yeah, it's always close with a backhand, especially when there's a player's trying to throw it far, because there's a release point, and if there's contact before that release point, it's a foul. But both players are somewhat, it's hard to say from both players' perspectives when the release point was. So a lot of times it's almost impossible to know when the foul was or if it was a foul.
The call has been retracted, which means that the disc is back in the possession of AUC. Still count rising. Chang running out of options, opts for the big backhand shot. Just out of the pitch. Maybe looking for Wen as an option.
And again, you see that was a good evidence of which way this wind is blowing, which way the players need to pay attention.
Baudin on the sideline. Tries to find the up-the-line shot, well towed in by Lesage. Lesage immediately looking deep for Lemaitre, but Lemaitre could not get hold of that disc. The mark getting set up very quickly on Chang, trying to apply pressure as early on as possible. Wen immediately goes deep. Chooses to dump off to Clement. Back up to Gross. Clement. Meisters. Fantastic movements from AUC here. They have a lot of fluidity and chemistry, having played with each other for so long. AUC, an already very well-established club in Europe.
These players are definitely looking a little tired at this point on this very, very long point. Maybe they think maybe a 6 turnover point. So, and rightfully so. They're all cutting so hard.
Chang trying to signal for the timeout, and Clement does call it.
A much needed rest. So Amsterdam using both their timeouts for this half on 1 point. But it's the last point of the half maybe for them, so probably a good time to use it.
They're probably trying to make that call themselves. And just as the players take a bit of a break, we will also take a break. We will see you soon.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ultimate.tv.
Welcome back to the live coverage from WMUCC, live from the University of Limerick. You are currently watching a Masters Mixed Division, AUC versus Frisbees Nantes. It is still in the first half. The score is 7-2 to AUC. Bjorn, what has this first half looked like?
Well, it's been quite dominant by the Amsterdam D line and a few unforced errors by Frisbeurs. But right now we're in the middle of by far the longest point of the game. There's already been 2 timeouts in it and maybe 6 turnovers. So this is really going to be a test for both teams.
Intended disc for Clement, but well picked up by Gans. There seems to be some sort of call. They're asking for the game advisors to come in for some sort of perspective or clarification on the rules.
A travel called on Chang. He does a constant, he's a big proponent of the lean forward to start your run backhand, which a lot of defenders end up calling as a travel even when it's not. Whether or not this one was, I'm not sure, but it's quite often called.
Fantastic pickup and awareness from Hans. Disc is going back. Looks like it's stalling 2. Giving Chang plenty of opportunity to continue this offensive play. Chooses to take the under from Meesters. The wind starting to pick up now. Huge bidding from Lemaitre.
As you see Lemaitre, I would just avoid her as a thrower. She is just so fast.
Inside backhand to Roos. Another pick call.
To see the Amsterdam in a host stack right here, I think their vertical stack has worked better. I don't know why they're running it, but I think maybe it creates a little more space.
The wind picks that disc up just over the top of Langelou. Not able to get fingertips onto it.
And the point continues. Halftime eludes AUC yet again.
That is what Ulti TV more effectively call a turnout. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the name turnout, but here we are.
I'd really like to see someone put it deep to Lemaitre. She's just so open, or at least get her on a nice 40-yard in cut, because she's their best way to gain a lot of yards right now.
Pouget finds Lemaitre on the underspace. Fantastic cut there. Looking immediately deep, finds Baudin.
Baudin, a very tall receiver who read that disc perfectly.
Huge spike as Frisbeurs managed to get another point into this first half. They must be elated with that. This long, long point ending in success for them.
I feel like that point should have been worth at least 3. But unfortunately for Frisbeurs, they only get 1, so they're going to have to get some breaks to get back in this game.
They're just going to have to get used to scoring 1 point at a time.
I know, it's unfortunate.
We have seen big comebacks already at this tournament. If you want to catch up on some of the other streams that we have, we are live all week from the WFDF YouTube channel. You can watch back the games completely free. They are streamed completely free. That is very much thanks to WFDF and the team from Ulti TV, who come from London Invite and all across Europe.
All right, the rare time we've seen Amsterdam's O-line. Let's see if they can remember how to play. I hope they do, and I'm sure they do. They have those great receivers and steady number 4 behind the rock, so we'll see.
AC get the disc moving. Aras immediately looking deep, trying to find Gusten. Finds, sorry, that's not Gusten, that's Verhaar. Verhaar finds Volrab, but just off the hands. Looked like she did initially have possession, but just slipped out.
Those were their 2 big receivers who clearly came off the bench with a lot of energy after that long rest, but maybe the hands were a little rusty.
Fantastic feet from Chantal. Chantal high disc, but does find Godet. Big swing across the pitch and a strip call, making a fake into the back of one of the AUC players.
Yeah, Tanjo was running by and accidentally just hit the backhand wind-up of Pierre.
Pierre signaling very well. We spoke to Pierre just before this game, getting a couple of facts about the team, making sure that we could pronounce things not too incorrectly.
I'd give us a B- so far.
Not too bad, but not too awful.
That's not too bad.
Another pick downfield, things getting very intense.
I'll give you a B+ and I'm an incomplete.
Thank you. I will take it. Low disc from Pierre, generating the turnover. AUC knocking on the door of halftime. Myers looking immediately deep, trying to find Verhard. Verhard, a very tall receiver, finds him perfectly. And AUC take the half in a very dominant showing, 8-3.
You see Verhard, just like we were told before the game, he has some legs that look like it might be a jump ball, might fall down to the ground because nobody could get to it, but he turned on the jets, pulled away from his defender, and made a simple clap catch in his stomach.
A beautiful disc there. You can tell that that is a system that they run very often at us, looking for Verhards, finding the taller receivers in the end zone, trusting in their hands. We now have a couple of minutes of halftime. The players will take a bit of a break. Grab yourselves a snack, grab yourself some breakfast or a cup of coffee, and we will see you in a few minutes.
Bye-bye.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hasliger Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
And subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV. Deviens un membre d'Ulti TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Top Ulti TV velmi eroginkime Ultimate Avandromena.
Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone, follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love Frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Ulti TV.
Became member
of Ulti TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
Like and subscribe. Ulti TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
we want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
with thousands of hours of experience.
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
We work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and news stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
Welcome back to day 5 of WMUCC live from the University of Limerick. I am Gigi Morrison, joined in the booth today by Bjorn Shea. You are currently watching the Masters Mixed Division AUC from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, against Frisbees Nantes from Nantes in France. Bjorn, how has this first half of the game gone so far?
Well, as we close with at the end of the first half, it really has been a dominant performance by the AUC D-line. They've got about 5 breaks, I believe, and because they started on defense, and a lot of great receivers out there for them, and big throws by Chang. Volrab on their offense and Verhard on our offense have been superstars when they're on the field. On the Frisbeurs side, I think Lemaitre has been by far the most impressive player for them, both D's and O's. Always open and very willing to lay out. I think if the Frisbeurs can just eliminate a few backfield drops, which they've had a lot of on the dumps, they can give themselves a chance to get some breaks here.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting back and forth this first half. AUC have been more dominant, but Frisbeurs have definitely not been out of the running. They have been very close to the end zone line and just not able to convert on offense. We have seen some extremely athletic plays from both sides. We did see one very long point generating a fair few turnovers, 2 timeouts having been taken in that point. But Frisbeurs starting out on defense for this second half. How are they going to answer to the AUC offense? Osa dumps it off to Myers. Myers goes for the high around flick, finding the strong hands of Volrab.
That throw shows a lot of confidence in Volrob, which is well placed.
Oh, so just over the back and into the defending Frisbeurs. It's like miscommunication possibly, or just catching the wind.
Yeah, that was an odd choice for a throw just because it was still on the strong side and just only about 5 yards down the field. Probably should have just gone back to the original thrower.
Godet goes for the hammer over the top to Veyard, finds it perfectly into the end zone for the Frisbeurs break. Nobile for the score. What a fantastic start to the first half of Frisbeurs.
Yeah, and kind of switching the roles from the first half. An unforced error by AUC, and then an aggressive, quick shot to the end zone by Frisbeurs. So that's the recipe for success, and they copied it well.
We just get another look at that hammer. AUC doing a good job in attempting to box out Frisbeurs, but just not enough. And then a wonderful shot into the end zone, giving Frisbeurs a break.
And we'd like to take this opportunity to wish happy birthday to the Frisbeurs member who couldn't make it today, Ellen. Happy birthday, Ellen, from your friends on the field. That break was for you.
Yeah, I'm sure they are definitely dedicating every single strong play to you. Got a couple of smiles on the sideline in agreement. Anyone that is watching at home, feel free to get active in the chat. We do try to keep our eyes on it as much as possible. We are live from the WFDF YouTube channel all week, completely free. We have 2 pitches streaming. We have had to relocate pitches just because of the conditions. But AUC now on offense, answering to a very poachy Frisbeurs defense. Frisbeurs being super effective in generating the D. Duplat getting right in the way.
And now Frisbeurs with a short field. See if they can take advantage of it. They score here, we got a ball game.
Bourgeois looks for the dump. Has 2 dump options, but both of them well marked out. Manages to find it. Receives it again. Eledin. Bourgeois. We're getting pushed further and further back. Deep into the end zone, trying to find Baudin. But there has been a foul call.
Yeah, a whole lot of people under that one. And I'm not sure, I couldn't see what was going on. But you could see the thrower, Lesage, saw his favorite receiver, Baudin, and tried to take advantage of it. But it hung up a little high, and other tall, athletic defenders were able to get under it as well. Let's see what they decide.
There were a lot of bodies underneath that disc. A couple of conversations now going on to see whether it actually affected Baudin's reception of the disc. They are allowed to gain the perspective of the game advisors and some clarity of the rules if they would like it.
You could see in the replay, it looked like the AUC player had pretty good position, so that's a tough call. But I've been wrong before, and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth yet again. So I'll just leave it on the field.
Leave it on the floor, not up in the air.
There you go.
I'd imagine that this is going to be contested and sent back if it isn't retracted.
And I think after, remind me if I'm wrong, after so many seconds, there's a whistle reminding them that a soft time limit has reached and that they should either send it back or make a decision.
Yes, it should be about 60 seconds. I cannot spot any volunteers currently who do have the whistle. The volunteers are usually the ones who time in between the points and in between calls such as this.
I think the fella in the red jacket across the way, it may have a whistle. I remember him from the game yesterday. I talked to him a little bit. I think his name was Daniel, and he seems to go to every Worlds event. He just travels around and enjoys loves Frisbee so much he wants to help out any way he can.
I've definitely seen him at a couple Worlds events before, so it's very good to see him back here. We were correct, the disc has gone back into possession. High release flick onto the break side, and again, just catching the wind a little too much, that wind getting really in the way.
I didn't mind that throw, kind of like Chang does with AUC. I think that would have floated well. I would have liked to see Bergeron turn and run for it instead of jump immediately. I think he would have been able to run onto it and had a quick throw to the end zone. But you live and learn, and now he has to play defense.
So Chang, Aras, whilst he is a tall receiver, was not limmy enough to get onto that disc, giving Frisbeurs another break opportunity. Bourgeois. Still count increasing, finds a very safe hands of Gendron.
And a great break of Bourgeois around the very tall Arras. That's not the easiest thing in the world to throw a backhand around a man that size.
Erleda dumps it off to Pouget and then into the front of the end zone for Lessager. Wonderful work from Frisbees Nantes.
And that's a few breaks right out of half, making this a much more interesting game.
Yeah, inching ever closer. The score now 8-5. AUC having originally taken half. The energy from Frisbeurs is definitely very different in the second half. They seem to be a bit more switched on, taking on shots that they feel confident in. They're maybe starting to feel a little too hesitant.
We see, I think I mentioned it earlier, but the size of the teams, the French team is definitely much larger and probably getting a lot more legs out there, whereas the Amsterdam team is already having a little bit of toughness switching they've had D-line players playing offense, offensive players playing defense, just because you can't wear people out playing too many points in a row. So they're already getting their set lines a little jumbled up. So look to them to try to find some sanity here in this crazy second half.
Myers feels the pull, looking for a dump, finds it in Tanya. Tanya to Volrab. Volrab still count rising, but Tanya slices up the line perfectly. Centers to Ose. Volrab. Tanya. Disc moving through the hands of the same receivers. They trust in their handler sets. Myers immediately slices up the line again as well. Receives it, getting closer to the end zone. Opts for the backhand break, looking for Verhaars, trusting in his receiver. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Use it over and over again. Verhaars, another goal for his name.
Yeah, you saw Volrab do all the dirty work throughout that point. She was getting all the hard unders, moving back and forth across the field. So that's one superstar receiver doing a lot of work. And then the second superstar receiver, Verhaar, got to clean up and get the points on the board. Number 28 there, Tanja, he did a lot of hard work that point too. Took a lot of pressure off of their main offensive handler, Myers. So 28 doing a lot of the difficult resets.
He's actually, before this game, was the stats leader for AUC, having 12 total stats to his name, 6 goals, 6 assists.
Yeah, he's a hard worker for sure. It makes sense. So Amsterdam breaks through in the second half, gets their first point on the board. Let's see what this vaunted D-line can do.
That should give them a good level of momentum. Chang with the pull. The wind has died down a little bit, and that pull soars into the hands of Frisbeurs. Pierre finds a receiver underneath, but there is a pick call. Checked back in. Fortuné. Still count rising. Finds the undercut from Popialo. High release backhand just catches the wind again. Frisbeurs, an error that they do not want to make. They're at about the halfway line. Chang getting things moving.
Chang trying to be patient, but didn't realize there was nobody to mark him, so he could have had a wide open throw any direction he wanted.
Opts for the scuba over the top for Koustin. Koustin, break backhand to Gross.
I think Chang owes Koustin a beer after that one. That was a great catch on a silly little scuba.
We are in the country of some fantastic beverages, so that is not going to be too hard to be able to do.
I don't know where you'd ever find one, though. Oh, just across the street at the Stables Bar, who's taking care of us all week.
The very many pubs that you can find in Ireland.
All right, so a break for AUC, and see them gathering a little more momentum. Probably give them a little more confidence, closer to the confidence they had in the first half.
Yeah, they know their structures, they know their strategies. These players are very well trained together. I mentioned earlier on that AUC is a very well established club in the Netherlands and in Amsterdam. They've helped to build and develop Ultimate in the Netherlands, as well as having some other teams such as UFO and Gut. So Frisbeurs receiving the disc on offense. Fantastic pull. Lots of cuts coming under. Erledin coming under. There was a poach just coming off from Chang, but not put off by that Drouet. Dumps it off to Veillard. They got very low disc, and that is unfortunately too close to the grass to be able to pick it up again. We do have a couple of receivers streaking deep, but Chang takes his time. Takes his time, but calls for cuts, and nothing's coming. Aras, front of the end zone, fakes the backhand, fakes it again. Looks for Chang, high release over the top. Again, lots of cuts, but not necessarily taking any of the first open options. Looks for the hammer instead. Finds it to Erman. Giving AUC another point. They are starting to go on a roll here. Frisbeurs is still applying a lot of pressure on defense.
Quan Nguyen on that defensive point for AUC did a great job of both somehow stifling the swing from his man and stopping the upfield, eventually leading to that low swing, creating the turnover. And then on the reverse side, the Frisbeurs defense could never really get everybody covered. There seemed to be two people without a defender at all times, all the way through the end.
I am loving AUC's flow. They do trust in their systems and their structures. I think at times when they get closer towards the end zone, they are starting to look off the first available option. Whilst a hammer is always a really lovely, spicy option, I would love for them to take that first open cut instead.
Yeah, you can always tell though when even if the hammer is the first look, that's fine. But anytime a hammer looks like it was the desperation choice, it has a little bit more. It has a little bit different tinge to it than when it is like when you intended to make that cut right away, which is not a bad thing. Just yeah, you don't want it to be your desperation choice.
Lemaitre with a 7 cut, finding Leroc up the field. Duplat getting the disc moving. Pouget. Barranger. Still count now rising. Big fakes. Godet having a wide force. Le Roc. Frisbeurs doing really well getting this disc moving. Lots of momentum. High release, that was a fantastic look, but having to take that extra second to concentrate, but she did not have time to do so.
It looked like the receiver looked a little late. Didn't have time to really realize what was happening. Didn't realize how open she was.
Houston, backhand down the sideline to Langelou. Chang. Looking deep, takes it. Has Myers going deep, but Myers is looking the wrong way. It was well defended by Frisbeurs.
A little bladey, and yeah, Myers never saw it.
Godet choosing to get the disc moving from the end zone immediately. Baronger, high release backhand. That was a fantastic shot, but there has been a pick. Doesn't seem to have affected that dump throw.
Yeah, I would think it stays there.
Myers taking a few steps back. Back to his original position when the pick was called. Godet checking in. Has Lemaitre going deep, but does not take it. And chooses to take the under to Pouget instead. Baronger. Wonderful around flick break. AUC with another opportunity, having to kick the disc back where it was bounced off the Frisbeurs player. Chang finds Houston. Just moving through the same hands over and over again. Myers finds Chang. Again, a lot of cuts downfield, a lot of open space. Finds the front of the end zone. Langelou not quite in. AUC now stagnant. Still count rising again. Finds Houston. And it's been given as a goal.
Another break there for AUC. And to me, that point was Houston maybe being the best conditioned player on the field. They seem to be moving at a different speed than everyone else, and late in this game, that makes such a big difference. When one person is able to make 50-yard cuts at nearly full speed, and everybody else seems to be making 8-yard cuts at full speed.
Yeah, definitely having to conserve some energy for the rest of this week. We're about halfway through WMUCC now. It's quite a long week. A lot of very difficult games. Usually only having about 2, which is very different from usual tournament structure, but these are high intensity matches. You can catch all of the coverage that we have from 2 stream pitches now on the WFDF YouTube channel, completely free. Very lovely production from Ulti TV. Doing this completely out of love. Make sure you do support both the WFDF YouTube channel and Ulti TV. You can follow them on YouTube and on Patreon if you want to show them some love and some support, get some extra perks. Pierre getting the disc moving to Baudin. Baudin back as a handler. Lots of big cuts coming off. Finds Nobile. Nobile almost goes for the backhand shot, hesitates, finds Baudin instead. Across the pitch to Bartomala. Baudin. Guillemet. Finds Fortuné, back to Baudin. High release, flick, over the top. Can she read it? And she reads it perfectly. What a fantastic catch, Bartomala. That was incredible.
Yeah, it was beautiful. A good throw over the top. Actually played the wind just right, and the receiver did an excellent job of reading it over her head, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, that is extremely difficult, especially when you've got some very tall AUC defenders towering over, getting very, very close to you. We can see that again, the backhand fake. High release flick over the top, just arcing over your head and then into the back corner. That was beautiful.
That point was a great point to illustrate the difference between the conditions of today and the past few days, because so many of those quick little throws the past few days have just been getting eaten up. But there, the calmer conditions have allowed for the much more beautiful game and allow the chemistry of this French team to really shine through.
So the AUC O-line, we haven't seen too often yet. Coming out now, that is a bricked pull. And Tanya is going to center it.
So yeah, again, we have the workhorse, Tanja with the disc, and then of course, Verhard and Volrab being the two who chew up the most yards in the field.
Frisbeurs setting up in a very poachy set, flat across the front, almost looks like an FSU or an Arrowhead.
Yeah, this is the same thing they ran earlier, and you see AUC flip to do a hoe stack to neutralize it, but I'm not sure it's completely necessary to do that hoe stack. I would like to see them stay in their vert stack and just find open areas.
And that zone has generated exactly what Frisbeurs wanted. Volrab trying to take a throw over the top to Myers, but it just being too far out the side of the pitch.
And here's the crisp throwing Nedelec.
Very well received from Laguazio. Low backhand, little too fast. Polalio would have had to bid for that one. Chooses not to. AUC getting the disc moving immediately. They are in Callahan country.
And here's that same zone. And it looks like AUC is a little uncomfortable with it. So it's definitely seems to be the right move.
Olsa successfully finds Myers through the zone. Fantastic flying D there.
Wow.
What a bid, Barreau against the break.
Barreau came from about 25 yards away. I guess he just knew that they would try to hit Verhard in the middle of the field. He started a sprint from 20 meters behind Verhard and read it perfectly. Incredible awareness.
Yeah, that is the kind of play that you only can learn from experience, particularly in zone setups like this. You have to be able to predict what the AUC offense was wanting, and he did exactly that. That was perfect. Really aggressive defense. AUC just wanting clarification on the gender ratio. So for anyone that is new to watching Frisbee, or at least Frisbee in the mixed division, for WFDF, we go by the ABBA rule, so ABBA as a ratio. So the starting ratio A, then the next two being B as other two ratios. So if you started out 4 men, you then go 4 women for the next 2 points, and then you go 4 men for the next 2 points, and then you continue on like that. There's also the majority gender pulling for each point. So in this case, with the majority gender being men, we have a male from Frisbeurs pulling.
And you flip to determine which one is A and which one is B, correct?
Yes.
And does someone choose, or do you just say up is male for A, down is female for B?
You usually have the teams choose.
Okay.
So you say like, I call heads to be able to choose, and then they will take that option.
Got it. Thank you.
That is all right. AUC on offense now. Joyner dumps it off to Tanya. Tanya takes the backhand shot, looking for Chang. What a fantastic shot. That was beautiful. Really well read, really well received.
And I think a lot of times with someone like Chang, everybody gets so used to him being behind the disc. They play so far under him, they forget that he's actually a pretty good athlete, and then he got away from everybody pretty easily there. So, and it's a common occurrence with someone who's always behind the disc. When they do go downfield and they can run, it ends up being an easy goal.
Yeah, Frisbeurs trying to do everything they could there. Lemaitre doing a very good effort in terms of trying to jump up for that disc. As he said, we never usually see Chang for AUC that far downfield. So really, even from the defenders, expect the unexpected here. That was us. Trying to watch our camera, making sure that we know what is going on. We've got a little screen in front of us.
Trying to stay informed, to keep you informed at home. And I see Lorcan is digging in his bag right now, and his items might be a little drier had he a greatest ultimate bag to keep all his things in, but he's not quite so fortunate, but one day he will be.
If you could see his face then, it was both spite and absolute joy that we managed to shoehorn the sponsors in that well. So, Frisbeurs getting things moving, still count rising, but Fortuné manages to get the disc off. Stuck on the sideline, quite a low disc, having to bid, but bids a little too far. AUC now with another break opportunity. The score is 13-7. Frisbeurs opting for this arrowhead style zone again. They don't have very many people downfield. Chang is only looking downfield.
Yeah, I guess the Frisbeurs have really liked their success in slowing down AUC with this zone, so they're trying not to go away from it, trying to get the disc back as quick as they can. There is a big open spot in this zone right over the top of the wall that AUC is not seeming to find at all.
And Chang is being very well marked out, but Hans is there for the option. Big fakes. Taking on the dump option. They're staying very localized, not opting to dump and swing and use the whole width of the pitch. And there we see it, one of the wider shots, but well defended, well boxed out. There is a foul call, however.
Yeah, I think in that situation, I'd like to throwing to that receiver, but I think that should have been something that would have dropped quicker, like a scuba. That would have been a perfect scuba opportunity. Backhand, there was no way a backhand was getting there without, a flat backhand was getting there without giving the defender an opportunity. We'll see what they decide on the call here.
That call has been retracted. Fortuné doing well.
Probably the right call. The defender was able to outleap the offensive player on a pretty bad throw. So
Barranger walks up to the disc. Has an immediate undercut. Chooses not to take it. There is a pick in the stack. Players getting reset. Disc check back in. Finds the dump shot option. Veillard. Back to Barranger. Another pick in the stack. Things getting very tight and very close together. Veillard strikes up the line, goes all the way back, but manages to find a receiver. Thankfully, coming down with it was Batomala. Really safe hands from her this game so far. Fortuné Lots of cuts, but not very many open options, and another pick in the stack.
Yeah, this again, when the stack is poorly formed like it is right now, it creates a lot of picks because no one knows where each other is going on offense.
Pierre goes for the really low flick. It rises and sails just out of bounds into the turf. Little too much mustard on that one.
And the AUC defender, I believe that's Brouwer, showing great speed to just make sure that nobody from Frisbeurs could catch up to it.
AUC now facing up against this same arrowhead zone that Frisbeurs initially put on. And Aras just bouncing off the chest.
He's probably thinking about the scuba he was going to throw next and didn't reel it in.
So Frisbeurs, can they connect? And they do. Guimière in the end zone for Frisbeurs, giving this point its tail end. That was very long and arduous.
Yeah, what a tail it was. Now the AUC offense coming back on the field. They should be pretty fresh after such a long point. We know the usual suspects for them who are going to do a majority of the work, and they're going to try to be as clean as possible. I guess the question now will be, will Frisbeurs come down in that zone that we've been seeing consistently?
Most likely they will do, especially as this rain starts to pick up. It's getting blustery again. Weather conditions will be starting to shift for the rest of today. It will get a little bit worse for a few hours, and then hopefully this evening getting better. A lot of the teams actually enjoying having the later evening slots where the weather has tended to be better.
Yeah, I think okay, so if the zone comes down, we'll see if AUC can find that soft spot right over the middle. And instead they just throw it over the top, which is always a great option. Oh, but Verhaar can't hold on. Tailing away from him and maybe just a little too slippery. And here comes a big throw.
Another deep shot, well read by Polialio. Lots of quick give-go movements. Well read. Frisbeurs will be super happy with that one. Fantastic break for them. AUC will have to answer to that in the next few points.
Got to think a lot of the same O-line players are going to stay on. That was such a quick point, and I'm sure Verhaar wants that back.
But Frisbeurs must now know what AUC want. They want Verhaar's going deep. They're going to look for that option regardless of what zone is on. And I believe that they will probably blend on some of the defensive line players onto the O-line to give them that opportunity, give them that deep shot.
Yeah, that's a good call. You see Chang out there along with Verhaar.
So very effective arrowhead zone from Frisbeurs. They're wanting to take away some of the really simple shots that can slice through the center, forcing AUC to take on some more aggressive overhead shots, some overhead backhands, scubas, hammers. We have seen that. We have seen it be effective. And we do see them set up again in that same zone. How will AUC respond? So far, lots of dumping and swinging, using the entire width of the pitch. Myers over the top to Chang. Joyner dumps it off to Volrab. And Frisbeurs just get in the way. Kroos not able to hold on to that.
That was probably the best we've seen AUC work it through the zone, but unfortunately an unforced error doesn't allow them to continue that trend.
Cheeky high release flick into the hands of Godet. Big fakes from Godet. Stall count rising. Not very many options, having to opt for the arcing flick. Finds Lesage. There. Backhand all the way across. Beautiful movements. Elegant. Nadek. Nadek looking for Lesage, but just out of the way. Ball rub on the ground.
Looks like Lesage calling a foul or retracting it now.
Chang not rushing too much to get the disc moving. And the zone is pushing them back. It is very effective in slowing down AUC's momentum. All they need is an option through the middle, something out wide. We see that first option here to Verhaar. Over to Chang. They're looking for Verhaar deep still, but he opts to stay in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, I think Verhaar's running, in my opinion, just a little too hard to where he runs out of an open space into a covered space. My goal when I'm playing zone is not to get to a particular space, but to just get away from any defenders and let my throwers find me once I've found that spot.
Joyner doing really well in keeping that disc moving. Volrab back to Chang. High release, just sails out to the pitch, catching the wind.
And again, that wind showing its colors. It is blowing towards this near sideline, and it looks like Chang took that for granted, and Volrab just couldn't get there.
Frisbeurs now have the entire length of the pitch to have to work down. High disc, well received. Eledin. Godet.
Looks like there was a mix-up on the matchups. Myers got help, and now there is an open woman on the field.
Godet, massive fake. Chooses to dump to Pierre. Stall count rising. Finds the option. Nobile.
And that was Nobile who got some free cuts.
Truel finds Baudet. Big strike up the line from Nedayek. Tries to go for the grab, does it in the second attempt. That was a fantastic catch. Frisbeurs super psyched about that. That was incredible.
Volrab, great recognition, got up, got the D, but pushed it right into the win accidentally. And the Frisbeurs receiver able to make a great catch.
And they're doing very well, keeping our eyes on that disc, going for the second reception.
Which receiver was that who made that catch?
That was number 35.
Nedelec.
Yes, Emily Nedejek.
Yeah, he's had some great impressive throws out here and also showed some sticky hands.
Just get to have a look at that again. That was so good. Volrab doing a really good job trying to get as high as possible to get the D. Fantastic positioning, but not high enough to get a full grab onto that disc. AUC having taken a timeout. Just as the teams have a quick chat and a break, we will also have a quick break. Welcome back to the live coverage from WMUCC. We are at pitch 1 watching the Mixed Masters Division, AUC versus Frisbees Nantes. We are getting towards the tail end of this. Both teams are in double digits. We initially saw AUC pulling away in the first half, taking the first half 8-3. Frisbeurs answering back. We are now at 13-10. The Frisbeurs zone really causing AUC a lot of trouble as we see Osa going to the grass.
Yeah, I think that's been the difference of this second half, or the secret to this run is AUC's inability to handle this zone. I think they're so good at running and making big throws that they're not comfortable making all these swings. And another great D you see on a simple swing. That was Pauline Lemaitre, the fastest woman on the field, with a run-through D on a swing. Amazing, amazing, and just showing that this zone is really stifling AUC.
Yeah, Lemaitre being the player that we have been mentioning probably the most from Frisbeurs in terms of highlight reels. And they're able to convert another break. AUC having taken that timeout and it not converting. The Frisbeurs bringing themselves a little bit closer. They are not completely out of this game. The score now 13-11.
And yeah, that just shows I think that was reminiscent of Lesage's D earlier when he saw that they wanted to throw it to Verhaar and came from really far away to get a great D. And there you say Lemaitre also seeing, well, they're obviously going to swing it back here and no fakes at all. She comes from 15 meters away to get the run through D. So this zone is creating not only too many short passes, but predictable short passes.
It'll be interesting to see how AUC will respond to this zone. They've been really stifled so far.
They're trying to find the right mix of personnel on the lines to which group is going to kind of figure it out, because certain people's strengths don't lend themselves great towards the zone.
Chang receives the pull. Look immediately deep. But takes the under option from Tanya. Clement. To Tanya. Tanya opting for the hammer. Well received by Houston.
That's the overhead that they've been missing this whole time. That is the soft spot that I've been talking about 15 meters over the top. And there's a big hole there, and they're just not using it. And that's allowing all the Frisbeurs players to play so close, because if you don't take advantage of that hole, they have no reason to respect it.
And AUC have now been off to the races. Little air bounce backhand into the front of the end zone. That is one of the first points that they have been able to convert against the Frisbeurs zone. Joyner getting the score there. Really good work there. Now 1 point away from taking this game. Can they bring out a D-line that will respond to any zone that Frisbeurs decides to set up?
Yeah, and I think the difference between that offense and all the others was, no drops, obviously, but the big bladey swing and the 18-meter over-the-top hammer. That's the first time they've really done that, and that makes that defense run. It stretches it out. It makes sure the cup isn't so compact.
Yeah, they did a very good job not being as stagnant, trying to actually take the first open options, looking for that space. And as you mentioned, using the overheads more effectively.
Yeah, it's not like yesterday where the conditions make an overhead nearly impossible. Any good thrower should be able to throw overheads right now if they plan for it and understand how the wind's going to treat it. So they shouldn't shy away from it. Maybe it's a little PTSD from the past couple of days that's making them scared of them.
It's a well-fielded pull. Nadejek finds Lemaitre. Back to Nidiak, striking up the line in the power position, finding in the end zone, but well defended and well marked out. No foul called. Fantastic defensive effort from AUC. That was Brouwer. Chang finds Verhaar in the underspace. Brouwer. Back to Chang. Chang fakes the big backhand. Goes for the air bounce instead. Hermans to Hunt. Fakes off Chang. Takes the open option, but is well defended again by Frisbeurs. We're seeing a lot of interceptions. Loguazio for the offhand backhand into Nediek. A lot of loud voices on this sideline. Both teams really wanting it. Pouget goes for the backhand just out of the reach of Lemaitre.
I think Pouget saw the opportunity to throw a backhand because Verhaar ran too far on the mark, but didn't actually, maybe was worried about him coming from behind and didn't get a really good snap on it.
Chang finds Roos. Roos chooses to dump again. Chang has eyes for the deep. Sees Verhaar's wide open in front of him, but no way to throw to him with a huge imposing force. Verhaar's is wide open on the under. They are aware that he is too dangerous deep, so allow him to stay in the under space. But that in itself is proving to be quite dangerous. They are gaining a lot of yards. Hunt throws just out of the reach of Meesters.
Good offensive flow, and then maybe the easiest throw was just an errant one at the front of the stack. So now the AUC defense is back on D.
They've chosen to take a quick timeout here. So Frisbeurs have the offensive opportunity here. They've chosen to take this timeout, take a little bit of a breather. Be interesting to see how they'll respond. AUC are wanting to come out firing from this. They know how close that they are to the end of this game. It will put them in a really strong position in this power pool. But Frisbeurs also know how important this game is. They are themselves quite surprised at how well that they've done in the tournament so far.
Yeah, we saw on that, we've been talking about that zone from Frisbeurs the whole second half. On that offensive possession for AUC, the Frisbeurs were not running that zone. It was just a regular person matchup. And so maybe they were a little too tired to get into it, but it still led to a turnover, an unforced error by AUC.
Yeah, Verhaar's was wide open in the underspace. I think Frisbeurs were trying to shut down the deep option in favor of the unders. Nedejek finds Lemaitre. Speedy feet. Gets it up the line to Loguazio. Instant fake from Pouget. Pouget being well marked by Chang, has to take a brave forehand option across the pitch.
That was almost a turn and pray break. I don't think he really saw where he's throwing.
Bourgeois, low, but it is up in the end zone.
I think that nearly turned completely over in the 10-meter space between the thrower and the receiver. An amazing catch.
Yeah, we've seen some incredible catches from Frisbeurs. That was the number 43 of Camille Nobile. We saw some incredible catches in the end zone from them. Can probably create a mini highlight reel from that itself.
I think it slipped out of his hand. It certainly slipped out of his hand. No spin at all. Came in flopping like a pancake, and somehow the receiver makes the catch.
Pancake was not the word I was expecting you to use. I was expecting fish.
Oh, yeah, that's probably better.
Very floppy fish.
Well, have you ever tried to throw a pancake?
I can't say I've ever held a pancake in my hand and thought, you know what, I'm going to throw it.
You should try it. It's great. Perhaps tomorrow in the mess hall we could try it out.
So Frisbeurs sideline trying to get their team hyped up. We're seeing AUC with their traditional O-line.
And here comes the zone, as usual. And Chang being the most successful handler against it, who is not out there. We'll see how they do. Who's going to throw either through or around or over this little cup?
They're doing well so far. Volrab helping to get this disc moving. Verhaars also receiving some very good under options. Immediately looking for the dump and swing. Takes it to Myers. Finds Volrab having to lose a few meters. But gives it back to Joyner. They do have some wing space completely free. And they take it on, finding Tanya. Little scuba over the top to Osa. Tanya. Things get moving, but that is very well blocked. The anticipation on that throw. Veillard does a fantastic job blocking that throw.
Yeah, I think Tanja tried to throw a regular backhand to Verhaar when really in that situation it had to be a scuba. That's why you need to throw it over the top. So a regular backhand just wasn't going to be high enough, and you saw the defender eat it up.
So pick call means that the disc goes back into the hands of Frisbeurs. Baranger on disc. Trying to determine what the stall count is currently. Disc check back in. High release backhand over the top. Just off the fingertips and well defended. Well blocked out. AUC with another opportunity to finish off this game.
Erledan got up pretty high for that disc, but it was just a little out of reach.
Myers did see Verhaars going deep, but opted not to take it. Chose the safer dump option to Osa. Verhaars in through the middle. Back to Osa. Myers looking deep, doesn't see any options. They do have the wide space completely free. They're opting not to take it, but managed to slice through the cup. Verhaars calling for players to come back. Volrab taking that on, has some time to receive the disc again. Simple back and forth. This zone having proven to be very difficult for AUC so far.
One thing I would say about their choices here, and it's fine to take the conservative choices, but those conservative choices were there the moment they caught them. So if you're going to be conservative quickly, because then it really puts the defense on their back field. So there you see they didn't hold it for more than a second and moved right across the field, still doing the simple passes. But if you catch it, pump, pump, pump. Anyway, that's 15. And a great comeback attempt by Frisbeurs with that zone really giving AUC all they could handle. But eventually, Verhaar got away from it and scored the final score.
Yeah, AUC were finally able to generate some of the cuts that they needed. They saw the weakness in the Frisbeurs zone. Volrab took that chance, seeing Verhaars going straight for the end zone. Getting some wonderful shots of how they broke through the cup. Really good work from AUC. It was looking like it was going to be a strong back and forth game. Frisbeurs were down for quite a lot of it, but were able to come back fighting strong. But AUC take that game 15-12. Thank you very much for tuning in today in the Mixed Masters division. Make sure you tune in for the rest of the games that we have streaming today. We now have 2 pitches streaming, both pitch 1 and pitch 11. The content here is copyrighted from the World Flying Disc Federation. Make sure you stay tuned on the WFDF YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you soon.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Alti.tv